For those who are very good students of marketing, they will naturally define it according to the definition of the American Marketing Association, that it is about identifying needs and meeting those needs profitably. Now, because of the high state of competition in our day, whether you are in a course service or you are selling a product, you must find a way to turn that product into a service that people can find value in. And that's what guarantees you a continuous flow of revenue streams. And there is no way to make that happen than trying to use technology today. And so I had also continue to maintain, for those who are really very close to me and those who listen to me often, I will always say that technology adoption is one of the quickest ways for individuals or organizations to give their business an uncommon growth. Because if your cost base remains the same and you are able to optimize your business operation either through automation or the use of modern day technology, there is no limit to what you can actually accomplish. And so your business value increases exponentially once you learn how to use technology to actually drive your growth. So in laying the foundation for this discussion, as we provide some contextual clarification, I want to ask the question and would also answer it because of our time. Ordinarily, I would have loved to get thoughts from everyone in the room on the question, why do you think businesses need to leverage technology? But the number one reason from my perspective is the fact that the business environment in which organizations operate today in 2021 is rapidly changing. It's not the usual brick and mortar, organic, manufacturing, Gen 2, scale 1 to 100 business growth environment. So businesses that really want to compete effectively and scale effectively will really need to be able to leverage technology to be able to scale. I'm sure that very many of us, just like myself, woke up this week to the news of the $1 billion valuation of Flutterwave. Now, Flutterwave is just a business that started in 2016. That's just a 5-year-old company that has been valued this week at $1 billion when they went to raise additional funds of about $225 million. That means Flutterwave as of today, maybe apart from Zenith Bank and Guarantee Trust Bank, is a 5-year-old company, is more valued than all the commercial banks in Nigeria, including the likes of First Bank, UBA, or anyone that you want to mention at $1 billion valuation. And come to think of it, Flutterwave has just 300 staff, and they operate in more than 20 African countries today, with their infrastructure cutting across 33 African countries, or 33 countries altogether. Within 5 years, they've actually, for example, processed 140 million transactions. That is worth over $9 billion US. That is the power of technology. They have over 290,000 business users, and they have over 500,000 on their barter products. That is amazing. Just in 5 years, that's what technology is able to do to a business. Imagine how long First Bank has been, Union Bank, and very many of the banks that I really don't want to mention. So why leverage technology? Because again, of the requirement for skilled manpower continues to increase. And the reality is that with the way artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithm is going, a time will come that machines and robots are going to be more, how do I describe it? They are going to be more intelligent than human beings. You know, I always like to share the story. In the year 2015, if I can remember, that should be about some 6 years ago, I was to be the chairman of the National Conference Planning Committee for one of my institutes, the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management in Nigeria. And I happened to be in Singapore on a short business trip. And the speaker that we wanted to invite as our plenary speaker that year actually lives and works in Singapore. Shaigano was the managing partner of Mesa Asia as at that time. So I needed to spend some 5 days with him to explain to him what the agenda of the conference for that year should be all about. And I spent about 5 years in visiting their office in Singapore. But I met a lady every time at the reception called Nadine. Nadine is a very beautiful lady, very tall, brilliant, and intelligent. Nadine will strike a conversation with you where you left it the day before it. And so on Friday, while Shai was escorting me out of the building, he asked me, how would you rate your experience in terms of engagement with Nadine? And I said, fantastic young lady. She never forgets anything, very brilliant, remembers every point of conversation in total. And Shai said, what if I told you that Nadine is a robot? You know, I was shocked. And he saw the shock in my face. And he said, can I shock you for that, Timmy? He said, if you come here in 10 years' time, Nadine is not going to grow older. Nadine will not need to visit the toilet to ease herself. Nadine will not need to take a lunch break. In fact, there is no need to say this call is going to be recorded and monitored for quality assurance, like you will typically do for call center or reception operations. He said all Nadine needs in 10 years' time is to maintain a contact with your iris, with your eyes. And in nanoseconds, Nadine will download information of 10 years ago as if it was 1 second ago. And she will strike a conversation with you where you left it off 10 years back. This is what human beings are not able to do. In fact, there are some receptionists that would even find it difficult to remember the conversation they held with a customer visiting their business some 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, not to talk of 10 years. And so we no longer live in a world of machines versus human. We now live in a world of machine-human being interactions. So when machines get to become more intelligent than human beings, being able to put quality data and information on the desk of business executives, what will happen to the human beings at work? And so the need to quickly accelerate the competitive capabilities of your business, leveraging some of this modern age technology, is something you cannot overlook. Thirdly, competition. The race to the digital is fierce. Those who don't join in the race now will get to regret it later. But the reality is, there is no business that will not be wise. The prayer is, may it not be too long before we become very wise. The reality is, technology is the future. And so those who jump on it as quickly as possible and use it to leapfrog their growth in business are the guys that are really going to stay competitive in the long run. There is huge pressure on margins. Price of products continue to go down in some climes because of so many players, and there are many substitutes coming in. Because again, with technology penetration, you are able to deliver services at more affordable prices. This further puts pressure on the margins of everyone. So the more you are able to use same technology build to accomplish without hiring an additional person, investing in additional infrastructure, will determine how healthy your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation or amortization would be. More than any other reason is the fact that we now have a COVID-19 impacted world. You know, maybe some 2 years before now, if you asked anyone, are you ready for digitization in your business? Very many of them will tell you, maybe in 5 years' time we'll be ready. We are not big enough. We don't have those huge budgets to digitize our workflows or business processes. Some will say, yes, we want to be there, but some of our business leaders are baby boomers. They don't really believe in this thing called technology usage at work. But with a COVID-19 impacted ways of working, it has become very clear that digitization has been accelerated in very many businesses. And to leave your own business without the attention of technology will be a great undoing of service to your business. Very many businesses have reduced their office spaces now because they just feel that they can distribute work across teams working from homes and remotely. And because of the need to work remotely through work from home ideologies, there is also needs for you to come up with tools that enables your workforce to collaborate effectively while working in a distributed fashion, and your line managers being able to monitor the productivity of the workforce while you are happy for them to work for your business without showing up in the office, so that there is not much pressure on your tissue paper or your stationery and so on and so forth. So I will try to show some of these images, and I believe very many of us will be very familiar with them. You remember the rest in peace story of Nokia in 2013, about a few years ago. I remember the CEO of Nokia saying, we didn't really do anything bad, but unfortunately we were taken over by competition. Very many of us started the use of mobile telephony with this Nokia. Those who understand how to speak Yoruba, we call it then Ujabokufo. It fell down and it did not scatter. It's very rugged, and if you are not using this phone as at that time, you are really not in the fray. After some time, it moved to the BlackBerry. And if you are not pinging, you are not in the fray. Again, BlackBerry died. And then we've moved now to a world of Android, iOS. You know, people try to even play class by saying I use a MacBook as of today. That is the world in which we live. Things keep changing and evolving. And what that tells your business is, if everything around you continues to change, your business can no longer afford to be static. You remember when it comes to storing data, I didn't remember, I should have even put diskettes first. You remember the diskettes that we normally use those days? You put it into the CPU to gather data and information, and gradually from the diskette, you move to the CD-ROM, and then after some time, you have the evolution of the DVD for recording not just the texts, the audio, but also recording the images in terms of the video. And then from the DVD, you move to USB drive, where you can have a 1 terabyte of a small piece. And today, many have even moved from USB. For example, the MacBook that I use will not even have a space to take a kind of USB as this. And today, very many people are more comfortable to store their information in the clouds. I remember one of the directors in one of the multinationals that I was speaking to about migrating from in-house server-based to a cloud-enabled technology some 15 years ago. And the director said, I don't want to answer to Netherlands. Please leave my data in our in-house server. I don't know what will happen to my data. You said you want to take it to the clouds. What if it rains? Just in a joking manner. But today, everybody are now comfortable with the clouds. In fact, if you are using most of the new technologies that are evolving today, are cloud compatible. So if you are even implementing a new technology that is not cloud sensitive, then you may not even really be building for stability or sustainability into the future. And so you have the OneDrive, you have the iCloud, you have the Google Drive, you have the Dropbox, you have Cantodam, you have the Amazon Work Docs. All these now leveraging the power of the clouds to save an innumerable quantum of data for sheep. I believe you are also familiar with this evolution. Those days, this recorder, my dad will always play it a lot on Sunday mornings before we go to church at 10. And you get to see him using it to play songs of the King Sunny Ade, the Ebenezer Obeys, the Niyade Dokuns. That was what was in vogue as at then. And then came the evolution of the cassette player. Very many of us know how to use the pen and the beak to roll it like this if you want to move it to a certain place. And then you have to roll it to be able to play that section. But today, my last girl is about 9, 10. She will not need to roll or fast forward to play anything. If she needs a music now in our house, she doesn't need to play any of this. She just say, Alexa, play XYZ for me. Some of the music, she even asked Alexa to play at home. I don't even know them. That is the age of the cloud player. But that was not where we started from. You move to the iPod, and then it is cloud player now, where you are able to actually do leverage a lot with the cloud. So if this evolution is happening, you can no longer afford to have an analog mindset to drive your business in a digital world. It will not just work. And for the persons in our generation, they call it kule work. So how about the taxis? I remember when Uber came, and some of the taxi cab drivers at the airport, we said they will soon fizzle out, they will die. But for very many of them that did not quickly transform into getting on Uber or Bolt, will almost have died now. So somebody at the airport would have to wait on the queue to pick a passenger, and then you have to pay even almost 2,000 naira at the gates of the airport to the union before you can drive out. You have to pass this cost to the customer. At the end of the day, you are not competitive like the Uber driver or the Bolt that the individual just gets on the phone and then book the service for a very cheap price. Very many of us that used to have special taxi people that we call to pick us to special places. If you think about it now, you really no longer have the phone number of such persons on your phone anymore. Not because you don't like them, but because the world has created alternatives using digital services. So if the world around you is creating alternatives, and the Gen Z and the millennials are actually lashing on this, if your business is positioned to support the Gen Z and the millennials, you can no longer afford to be analog in your business mindset. Those days we have to go to the library, sit down physically among piles of books to read the information that we want. But now, with Kindle, you can put a lot of information uh, in your brain without leaving your room or establishing a big library at home. You can read books instantly in your browser with some of these Kindle things. And some of the time, it's even a free app for you to download on Google Play Store. So you cannot afford to think that you will run the business the way you used to run it. It won't work. How about travel agents, where you have physical desk, you have to travel to a place to tell people, I'm going to Casablanca, or I'm going to China. They help you book. But now people get on TripAdvisor to find out that. Waka now, travel starts, and a lot of these new emerging businesses have digitized the process. So if you are not also digitizing how you take your business to the world, there is a problem. Long before now, people gather together in the evenings, in the afternoons, physically to have conversations, even pre-COVID, when there are no dangers of coronavirus transfer and so on and so forth. But now people can even be gathered together and not be talking to themselves, as you will see in the image to my right. So these guys, young guys, could either be on Facebook or on Instagram, or they are just doing something else. That's why I put an image here on the screen at a restaurant. I remember in Port Harcourt, there is a restaurant where I used to eat in GRA, where they have this inscription in the restaurants that we do not have Wi-Fi here. So pretend that we are in 1995. So talk to each other, because we now live in a world where we may be many together in a place, but everybody is on their phones. We no longer talk to ourselves. That is the world in which we live. And for those trying to buy cars, if you want to buy a car before, maybe you travel to Berger to go and be looking at the cars one by one, or to the location where you want to buy. For example, my own company has digitized that process now. You don't need to visit any dealer location to make a choice of a car that you want to buy by simply just logging to an auto check website. For example, you can see different variety and assortment of cars with the inspection report, that is 150-point inspection, that is able to help you make a buying decision without leaving your office or your house. That is the future that we live in. So how do you use this technology to drive your sales, to manage your operations, to manage your workforce? How do you use this technology to reach out to more customers and markets, and ensuring that as those customers come, you are running an optimally efficient operations that is able to support them? So what technologies should you be thinking about? What technologies should you adopt to actually make this happen? At the end of the day, the customers are the reason for your business. Any business that does not have customers as its key drivers will not last long into the future. So one area is gradually moving from that one small shop or office to an electronic platform where you can actually democratize your presence to so many people at the same time. So that we call e-commerce, whether you are doing business to business or you are trying to do business to consumers or to customers. There are also tools that you need to use for your back office, which has to do with your operations management. There are other tools that you need to use for your workforce management. I call them digital workforce management, especially if you don't have the capacity to keep everyone on site anymore, and you need some of your staff to begin to work from home, or you want to do ganging, where those who work in the office this week are working from home next week, and vice versa. There are also tools that you can use for your data analytics and dashboards. You just like you cannot drive a car without a dashboard. You may not know when your fuel is dry or when your car is overheating. It's becoming so difficult in the VUCA world of today to actually run a business without dashboards. And so staying ahead of your data analytics, what the market is telling you, what the environment is speaking to you concerning changes you need to make around your business. There are a lot of technology tools that you can leverage to actually make that happen. Same goes for digital marketing and marketing automation. So I will try my best within the short time that we have to speak briefly about each of these ones. Yes, we may not have enough time to go deep and deep dive into all of them, but at least the information that I'll provide in this session should be able to set your mind thinking. And perhaps we may have additional time during the Q&A session to speak to the specifics as it relates to going to implement some of the ideas from this session. So this starts with the digital growth that we have experienced in Nigeria. When you look at the image to my right, by the way, I picked the source from techcabal.com. Very many of us know them. So in terms of Nigerian consumers that are avid online shoppers today, the research is saying that majority of internet users in Nigeria always shop online. If majority of internet users shop online, that means if your business is not online, as of today in terms of e-commerce, you are losing about 89% of potential customers. So this research says that 89% of internet users are potential online shoppers in Nigeria. This figure is higher than you will find in South Africa, which is 70%, or in Kenya, East Africa, which is 60%. And out of this 89%, the research says that 65% of them are already shopping online, while 24% of them expect to shop online in a very near future. If you look to my right, this report from Hootsuite talks about the annual digital growth in Nigeria. When you look at our January 2019 report, so our population grew between 2018 and 2019 by 5 million, which was 2.6% growth. But the mobile subscriptions for the same period, 2018 to 2019, grew by 10 million. That was 7.4% growth compared to the 2.6% population growth. When you come to internet users in Nigeria, between 2018 and 2019, additional 4 million people were added to the cluster of internet users. That's 3.8%. And for those who are active on social media, using it for different purposes, whether on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or any other, they grew by 5 million between 2018 and 2019 January. That was about 26% growth from what it used to be. And then the last that we have here is the mobile social media users, people that are actually accessing social media through their phones. It grew by 6 million, a whopping 35% growth just between 2018 and 2019 alone. And if you come into January of 2020, 1 year after, those who were urbanized, our population was defined at 203.6 million. That's approximately 204 million people. And out of these, about 50% of them are already urbanized as at January of last year. What that means is that majority of people that will begin to use smartphones to access services online will definitely increase. And out of these 203 million people, those who have mobile phone connections are 169.2 million. That is massive. That's 83% of our population today are using mobile phones to do one service or the other. And out of this 204 million, we have about 85.5 million people who are actually on the internet today, using internet for one service or the other. That's 42% internet penetration in Nigeria. And out of these, 13% of them are actively using social media today, about 27 million. So when you look at this number, if your business is actually not leveraging online to take whatever service or product that you are delivering to the markets to them, you may be actually losing a lot. And why is the demand for e-commerce rising today? The truth is that it is rising because technology has made it the easiest way for you to shop online today. Apart from making it easy for you to shop online, you are able to get variety. You are able to have unlimited choices in one single place, unlike just going to Spar or going to ShopRite. You can find unlimited things in one single marketplace. And there is this idea of consumerism, where even things you don't know that you need can be suggested to you because you have added some items into your cart. So you will hear, those who bought this item you just want to buy also bought this. Would you like to consider it? Much more importantly, especially for those of us that live in the cities, you can avoid humongous debts to your time, because time is life, really. Time is the currency that we spend on earth. If you need anything, you have to exchange time for it, be they relationship, money, or anything at all. So road traffic is one of the biggest killers of time in cities. So road traffic is taking the fun out of shopping in brick and mortar stores for so many people. In fact, some places you get there to even find parking before you enter into the stores is hell. And some other time, the amount you will even pay for parking, you will not pay that amount as the payment service fee when you shop online for the same product at the same price delivered to your doorstep. So it's gradually becoming more convenient, easier for people to actually go online to shop. Now, very many people are even now afraid of going to where there is crowd in the shops, in the mall, at Okeani Market, at Ojuelegba, and some of these big markets, because they're also afraid of infections from coronavirus, and they would rather just shop online. So beginning to think of e-commerce and how you move your business there may be one of the ways that you can actually leapfrog your growth and business outcomes. And so, excuse me, when you want to choose your e-commerce platform, what different options can you consider? So I've tried to put about 3 different options you can look at here. And then maybe subsequently you can get more information and research better. I'm sure that VDT is also a tech company. You can always reach out to them and they're able to support you beyond just provision of broadband service. So you can either do a custom e-commerce platform where you acquire the services of a specialized web design and programming company or firm to help you develop a custom solution for your online business. So, and what you really need to do, one, is to be able to actually gather what's the requirement. You design a requirement document. What must my business be able to do online to be able to deliver efficiently to my customers? Once you have been able to define that, then you request for quotations from multiple vendors who are web designers and programmers that are able to help you with an online business solution. Then, based on some criteria that you might have defined, you try to select the best vendor, maybe on the basis of price, on the basis of support available, on the basis of their experience and the things that they claim that they have done before. I would typically expect you to ask them to nominate the websites that they have built before. You go to check the UI, UX, the fluidity of the sites, talk to the organizations to confirm that they actually built it, and then ensure that when you want to sign an agreement for them with them to deliver the work, you agree a specific timeline within which they should deliver your e-commerce platform for you with specific deliverables, and then you agree your payment terms. Obviously, I will not expect you to pay 100% upfront. So you will actually tie your payments to the milestones until it actually becomes an e-commerce platform. So you are always advised to choose this option only if you are sure that there is no off-the-shelf product which meets your business requirements. Another way you can get an e-commerce platform is the one that you call the self-hosted platform, like going through the WooCommerce, the PrestaShop, the OpenCart, Shopify, eCart, Xcart, and so on and so forth. It's a self-hosted solution, which is a piece of software that you run on your own in-house server or a server that you rent elsewhere, whether physically or in the cloud. So if your business needs lots of customization and if you have the technical resources on hand, then this may be an option for you to consider. However, a lot of people are considering what I call the software as a service, e-commerce today, where you just sign up to a cloud-based delivery model in which the applications are hosted and managed by the data center of the service provider. All you just need to do is to pay maybe a monthly or quarterly or annual subscription, and then you are able to access the service of that platform through a web browser and an internet connection. It's really very easy for you to set up. You have range of features, assortment, listing by product type, being able to put your price. Some even allows you to be able to do CRM, customer relationship management there. You are able to do inventory management inside there, to delete some of the products that are being sold, to upload new products, and so on and so forth. They are really very affordable and easy to manage. My wife, for example, has an online jewelry store, and she uses one of those services called Kite. That is a software as a service e-commerce. So if your business doesn't have a lot of technical resources, leveraging SaaS platforms can actually be a good choice for you to start. I've also put some examples of some of them on the screen for you to grab. So I'll need to move quickly because of our time. So if you choose that, sometimes you also need to be able to think of, okay, if I'm taking my business online, I also need to think of how to make customers pay for my services and products conveniently in a secure manner. So Payment Gateway is the application that connects your website to the shopping cart. All right, your website shopping cart to your merchant account that you have created. So what you are doing with a payment gateway is to give your customers multiple payment options. Once they have multiple payment options, wallet, card, and so on and so forth, internet banking, blah, 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 you increase the likelihood of them buying from your site. So the starting point is for you to apply for a merchant account so you can use it to process payments. All right. So, and if you want to choose payment gateways, certain things you may need to consider is how much are you going to use to set it up? What is the transaction fees from the customer side and from my side as the merchant? Do I have support for my wallets? What are the other things I need to consider? Are there annual maintenance costs I need to bear? Will I need to pay any money for annual software upgrade? Are there any additional taxes or charges? Placing these side by side will help you determine which payment gateway is ideal for your e-commerce platform. And we have very many of them. Today, you have the Paystack. Those guys recently sold out at $200 million. I'm sure that is no longer news. Again, that's an example of how you use technology to liberate growth. I already shared around Flutterwave when we started today. There is VoguePay, there is InterSwitch, you have Remitter, you have GT Pay, you have PayU, you have Sort Pay, you have Yowo, you have Paga, so many of them that you can also consider. You remember I also told you if you are going the e-commerce route, it's not just about the convenience of payment for your customers. You must also let your customers know that your website is really very safe. According to the Visa research on Visa website, they said that 61% of card holders that they polled at a particular time said that they will shop online more often if they knew that their credit card information was secure. Another 83% of card holders who are yet to shop online, they said that the reason they are yet to do so is because they are worried, they are concerned about the security of their credit card information. So you may also want to leverage the services of SSL security service certificate providers, Entrust, Symantec, GeoTrust, GDSAT, Network, so many of them that you can actually leverage to ensure you are able to encrypt and communicate to your customers that it is safe for them to do business with you. So let me quickly use another 5 minutes to quickly talk around back office applications. I have just about 10 minutes now. Now, back office applications in general are tools that you deploy in your businesses to help you drive operational efficiency through a seamless process that provides visibility to your business leaders or to you as a business leader or manager at every customer or colleagues interaction point. You can either use this for your customer relations management. You have tools like HubSpot, like the Zoho, Capsule, Insightly, Bitrix24, Salesbox. So many organizations are using these tools already in Nigeria, and they are not really very expensive. Or you want to use tools for customer support like the Zendesk suite, where you are able to see support there. You have a guide. You are able to chat and talk on voice. Or you want to manage your inventory. You know, we have so many of those tools. You can have Salesforce. You have Freshdesk. You are doing order management. You want to manage returns and so on and so forth. You are doing your small accounting. You don't need, yes, while some will do SAP Business One, or you want to do Oracle, some will do Info FMS, some systems, some will do Sage. You can also do small, for example, in my own business, we use File, for example, and Xero. And some we use Tally. These are tools that you can easily get for very less price that are more suited even to SME businesses. You are trying to do procurement, you can use Coupa. You want to do your HR applications, you have the Human Manager in Nigeria, some domestic platform, you have Seamless HR also in Nigeria. If you want to go abroad, you can do Factoria, you have Oracle Fusion, you have ADP. There are so many tools. But what I'm trying to say is that there is every tool for the size of your business. All you need to do is to search. And these tools are able to help your analytics. They are able to help you to actually improve your operational efficiency. Now that businesses have moved also to working from home, moved to digital, managers, business owners are concerned. Some of them even think that when their employees are working remotely, they are faffing around. They are doing some other things. They are watching Netflix. They are watching Africa Magic on DSTV. And so they are concerned, how do we monitor these guys real time to ensure that they are actually giving the required hours to the business? How do they communicate with each other and ensure that business continues? How do we mix to agree on decision to take around proposals and business options without having to physically be in the office? This is what is leading to my discussing this slide. And please forgive my two-wordy slides. I didn't want to slice it into two. So some of the areas you need to begin to consider is one, communication. How are we going to continue to communicate in the digital age? So you need to look for tools that you can use for chatting, So many people are using Slack today. You have workplace advanced version of the Facebook, voice and messaging and calendar. You're doing video conferencing. With video conferencing today, you can meet together, turning on your video, and you can see yourselves. In fact, I had to, let me just I have to put a note here so that you guys can follow the conversation. So for communication, chatting, voice, there are so many tools you can experiment. You have Slack, you have Google Hangouts, you have Microsoft Teams, you have Skype, you have Flock, Wire, Mattermost, Broxix, Discard, Signal, 3CX, Quinix, so many tools. Same for video conferencing. Some of these tools are also useful for video conferencing. You have the Zoom, just like we are using now. We are using Zoom for this conversation. You have Join Me, you have GoToMeeting, you have Google Hangouts Meet, you have BlueJeans, Cisco WebEx meetings, whereby you have Loom, you have the first Facebook premium version of the Workplace Advanced that I mentioned. You have Gumzo. Gumzo, for example, is touted to be the first video conferencing tool that is developed in Africa. It was developed around February, March last year during the pandemic in Kenya by Osiko Games. Osiko Games is just a gaming company that developed games, online games. But during that time, they noticed that a lot of people were turning to Zoom, turning to Microsoft Teams, and decided to build Gumzo, and it's been widely accepted in Nigeria. How about when your people are working remotely, they need to be able to collaborate. You need to be able to have insights into their task, monitor their productivity. There are so many tools you can use to make that happen today. You have the Evernote, you have the Trello, you have the Google Sheets, you have the Smart Sheets, and all these ones that I mentioned, they are tools that we use in my own organization. For example, these 12 tools, Atlassian, DocuSign, Zoho, Airtable, all these tools are currently being used in my own organization. For example, we use Smartsheet in our corporate planning division to track our strategic imperatives and the actions that people are taking with the timeline from the owners. Same thing, Avaza is being used by some other teams. Some other teams are using Asana. We use Google Sheets to gather our information into the data studio for our data and analytics. And then you want to manage time, ensuring people are delivering on task within allocated time. You can use tools like Toggle, FreshBooks, Upstaff, DexTime, Paymo, Rescue Time, so many of them, Focus Booster, and so on and so forth, so people don't easily get distracted. Even if they decide to take a walk, maybe somebody working at home, you have advised, okay, don't sit for more than 2 hours, take a walk. The guy may take a walk and begin to watch a season film. And before you know it, the guys have spent 2 hours watching a movie. With these time management trackers and tools, you are able to manage whether they are working online or not. And because your people need to work from different areas, maybe some in Kano, some in Abuja, some in Rivers, Port Harcourt, some in Lagos, Ibadan, you need them to be able to collaborate online real time. And so that's giving back to the need for a document management system where you have cloud storing and file sharing capability. For example, on Google Sheets, about 15 different people can be working on the same Google Sheet at the same time. And this is reflecting automatically, maybe on your dashboard, whether you are using Power BI or you are using Data Studio for that purpose. So some of the file sharing storage capabilities that you can explore in your business, you have Google Drive, you have OneDrive, you have Dropbox, you have pCloud, you have Sync, you have CantoDAM, you have WeTransfer, you have SharePoint. These are some of the tools that you can experiment depending on the capacity of your business. How about integration and workflow automation? Sometimes your salespeople will need to be sending emails to be chasing business prospects, depending on whether they are cold leads or they are hot leads, and then they have to be doing that every week. You Zap it. So Zapier as a tool, for example, helps you to automate all the manual processes in your business. So if you need to be sending a repetitive email, you put it on Zapier and you zap it. So at every particular point in time, it automatically triggers Apologies. It appears that I lost my internet connection, right? Please let me just reshare my screen.
Yes, we lost you for a minute, but you're back on now.
All right. Thank you very much. So maybe you are talking about security and password management. There are very many organizations that have so many different applications that are not talking to themselves. So there are no APIs to connect them. It makes even the work of using technology to drive business optimizations and business process improvements really very difficult. Your employees have to sign in with different password at different times to different applications. And some of these applications will tell you that don't use a password that you are already using for another application within the business. And so, for example, in my own organization, we use the Google Suite and we use the Google Sign In. So even if we have 550 applications, once you have our Google email, you can use one sign in to sign in into all the applications that we use. But some other organizations don't do that. And so instead of your people having to remember each password for each whatever, I remember at the time I worked in an organization where we do monthly product knowledge tests. And there is a portal where employees are supposed to go and learn about the products of the organization, learn about the policies that will be used to set the test at the end of the month. People will start requesting for password resets when the time to take the product knowledge test is coming closer because they are not used to going there often. And because they can't remember the password they set, they are always sending to the HR department and IT, please help me reset my password. So you can use some password management tools like Dashlane, LastPass, TrueKey, OnePassword, RoboForm, MPass, so many of them to actually manage this. Same goes for your disaster recovery and backups. Unfortunately, I think my time is really far spent now. So I'll just take a pause here. I would like to believe that at least one way or the other, I've been able to communicate. I would have loved to share more around data and analytics and dashboards. As you will see on my screen, there are so many tools that you can use for your data analytics, from RStudio to the Microsoft Excel that very many of us are used to IBM PSS, Python, Microsoft Power BI, or you want to use Tableau, GeckoBot, so many of them that you can use, because the ability to make the right decisions at the right time based on watertight insights from the data that the environment is supplying to your business helps to improve your business performance in a very big way. And so making data analytics a key aspect of an area you can use technology to drive business outcomes will be really very key for your business. Digital marketing, I would have loved to describe digital marketing, which is different ways in which you actually promote your brand or your products. So you can have organic inbound marketing, which are activities that bring visitors to your site. You can have organic outbound, which is the opposite of that, different activities that helps you to reach the customer, like search engine optimization and so on and so forth. You can have the social media, you can have the email marketing. So for organic, for example, whether you are trying to do blogging, you are trying to do comment marketing, you are doing SEO, you are doing research, publishing white papers, you are doing webinars like we are doing now, you are trying to do document sharing, and so on and so forth. These are different areas in which you are actually able to call the attention of customers to your business without having your employees go out to be physically prospecting. And the organic, inorganic one are the ones that you actually use, whether through paid natural search and SEO and search engine options to drive traffic for your business, whether in newspaper prints, on radio, you're advertising, you're on TV, you are putting billboard out there, you are doing digital behavioral targeting, you are doing pay-per-click, and so on and so forth. That is outbound marketing. Social media, please permit me to just use this. I really love the image that I put here, for example. You use social media to gain attention for your website traffic. And I like the way social media was explained in this image that I put on this slide. So talking about samosa, for example, if I'm talking around samosa, if I want to go on Twitter, I say I am eating samosa. If I go on Facebook, I like samosa. If you want people to like, if you want to explain your products to people, you go to YouTube. This is how I eat samosa. Maybe you want to know the capabilities around samosa. You go on LinkedIn and say, my skills include samosa eating. You want to display photo of your samosa and how beautiful it is. You go on Instagram and say, here is a classic photo of my samosa. Maybe you want to share experience around how samosa is eating. You go and blog around it. Here is my samosa eating experience. Maybe you want to show the recipe for producing samosa. You go on Pinterest and say, here is samosa recipe. Or Foursquare, you want to show the location where you are eating your samosa from. Depending on whatever it is you are trying to get across to the customer, you can use these various social media tools to actually reach out to your customer. The other way is email marketing, where you gather the email addresses of everyone that you have had interaction with at one point or the other, and then you actually communicate to them your products, your services, your promotions, your reduction in pricing, and so on and so forth, in a bid to ensure that you are able to catch their attention and capture them into the nets of your customers. Some of the time, all these marketing activities having to post on different platforms and different locations can be burdensome. There are some marketing automation tools that you can use to post from a single source, and it appears in very multiple platforms. So you may also want to check out some of those tools that actually helps you to optimize every channel you are using, whether they are emails or social media or the websites, and they are able to help you automate tasks that you may want to continue to repeat. I put some of them here. You have HubSpot, Infusionspot, you have Marketo, VW, Better Out, and so many of these tools that you may want to use. So with that said, I really want to believe that one way or the other, I have been able to at least stimulate your mind on different areas that you can actually use technology to deliver business outcomes for your business. So I will take a pause now and hand over back to Elizabeth, maybe for Q&A or any other comments. So thank you guys for listening to me.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Tim. I felt like I was in school, right? Learning technology all over again. Thank you for that very exhaustive presentation. So I'm sure that our participants have a few questions. Okay, someone is asking already if they can have access to the material, right? And I'm sure, so please, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature so that we can take your question quickly. So while we're waiting for our participants, okay, yes, I see someone raising. Okay, please unmute. Please unmute and ask your question quickly. Thank you. Okay, maybe while we are waiting, I was going to ask, so how can businesses focused on B2B, business to be leverage digital marketing tools? Can you elaborate a bit more on businesses that are centered or have products targeting other businesses? How can they leverage digital marketing tools? Because there's this general notion, I think, that digital marketing is more effective in the B2C space. Thank you.
Well, yes, that's a general belief that digital marketing is more effective in the retail space, that is B2C, because it's actually individuals that own the social media accounts that come on online and all the stuff. But something that we always get to miss is that these individuals are also the people that are making the B2B decisions in the organizations. So it's now coming to say, I would rather say, how do I ensure an optimal mix of my digital marketing across delivery for B2B? And so the question to ask is, the guys that are making most of the corporate decisions for B2B, where do they go? Where do they consume information that they want to consume digitally? So if I can find out where they consume their digital information, then I can actually direct and target my digital marketing activities towards those areas. And again, for different businesses, there are different channels that work for individuals. It's not one size fits it all for everyone. For example, there are some organizations that are able to attract even talent from Facebook, whereas some other people are only able to use LinkedIn to make that happen. But being able to first say, okay, where are the B2B decision makers congregating? And then I will target my digital marketing activities to that channel, and we begin to measure. So that means you must have a baseline data before 1 naira digital spend, before you make a 1 naira digital spend. And that's what most guys around digital marketing fail to understand. And I tell my own people, I don't have a problem. I will do performance marketing, but you must be able to sign off on the CVR. What's the conversion rate? What is the outcome of this spend? So if I give you $1,000, how much will I be able to use it to generate? Right? Some of the time they want to dodge and say that's the responsibility of the sales team. I disagree. It is not. So if I'm going to sign off a budget for a digital marketing spend, I must be able to directly attribute that spend across all the channels to specific sales outcomes that happen. And so being able to have a baseline data against which you can track your marketing spend periodically will really be very important. And the ones that you can see spike and signs of life will be where you should stay and then continue to milk. And this will require some of the time experimentation, where you will just try out. For example, in January, I wanted to test out the newspaper for the high-end vehicles that we sell, from 60 million to 150 million cars. I discovered, okay, in the retail space, not very many people have the capacity to buy a 60 million, 70 million naira car. And so I said, okay, it's corporate organizations and business executives that are able to do this. Where are these guys? They are in the newspapers. So I decided to advertise in the Business Day newspaper. But at the end of the day, very few people and organizations called in to say, we saw this advert. How much will this XYZ car go for? And because I have seen that it's not a channel that works, even though I had the perception before then that business executives will always read Business Day newspaper. So by doing experimentation and testing, having a baseline data and checking where there are spikes, that data helps you to determine where to go. Most of the time, the market always tells us what we need to do as a business, where we need to spend money as a business. The problem is that most businesses are never listening to that data. If we learn how to listen to the data from the customers, from the market, our businesses will be better optimized for outcomes.
Well, thank you so much for that. I have another question here. The person is asking, will Alexa, there's this threat of robots coming to take human jobs. You talked a bit about it, it's about partnership. So is it that neither here nor there now, but it's about partnership and leveraging opportunities. About partnership and leveraging opportunities. So how should team members or employees adjust to this digital or technological revolution, as it were?
Okay, good. Thanks for that question. The reality is that whether we like it or not, technology is here. So you cannot fight it. So you just learn to live with it. In fact, there is a factory in 2019 that started building robots, using robots, right? ABB factory in Shanghai, in China. And in November of 2019, Foxconn is a company that assembles mobile phones for Apple, all these iPhones. In one single day, they fired 60,000 employees in Foxconn factory in November 2019 and replaced these 60 employees with robots. The reality is a human being can be fatigued on the factory floor, and instead of packing 99, packages 100. Or instead of packaging 100, packages 101. This is what a robot will not do. They have precision. They have accuracy. Before now, cases take so long in court. I remember the last time I traveled to China for some recruitment. I had to get a lawyer who is able to speak English language to accompany me for most of those conversations because I needed to travel across the 4 different regions in China, trying to take people for the Dangote refinery project in Nigeria that time. But as of today, all I need to do is to go with Pilot. Pilot is an earbud. I will speak. I will just give the other guy, a Chinese guy, a Pilot. I use a Pilot. And then when I speak English, he understands it in Chinese. If he speaks Chinese, I understand it in English. And then we can have a conversation without having to hire somebody that follows me around to have a conversation with me. How about, there are so many areas. Reviewing contracts, for example. There are tools now that you just have to put the language in it. It interprets it for you. Look at self-driving cars. Today, Elon Musk is the richest person on the planet just for working on Tesla and some of these things. So the reality is we cannot take away the place of technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms, augmented reality, virtual reality. What we now need to focus on is how to accelerate the digital maturity of our workforce to ensure that they don't lose out ultimately in the game. There is a research that says that 75% of students that are in primary 5, as at the year 2020, by the time they graduate from the university, the jobs that they will do are not existing as of today. So if the jobs your child that is in primary 5 will do is not existing, what school should that child be attending? Should it just be focused on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics? These are the real issues, and that's a challenge for HR managers, being able to foresee the future. What are the jobs of the future? Like you said, some believe that these technologies will take away jobs and people will lose it. But at least from the World Economic Forum report of last year, we were able to see that WEF is saying that technology and robotics, even though they will take away jobs, they will end up creating 75% more jobs than the jobs that are taken away. So by 2022. So what we should be asking ourselves is, what skills are required for the jobs of the future? And then we begin to upskill our workforce to get them done.
Wow, brilliant, brilliant. That's so refreshing. Thank you very much, Mr. Timmy. Okay, so Tomide is asking, how can you increase engagement in your business social media page?
Okay, I think this is always a challenge for most businesses. They see that individuals in the business, when they do their own personal post, they get to see more likes, more comments. But when you go to the company's social media page, they post and there are few likes and a few comments. In fact, in one organization that I worked, there was a very big influencer on Twitter that has so many followers. If you just put dots on his tweets, that dots that is saying nothing, we have 1,500 likes. So I decided to hire him as my social media manager. But unfortunately, he was not able to translate the followership that he had on his personal interests to that of the business. So at the end of the day, I have come to the conclusion that nobody will grow your social media following than your workforce, your people. So the question now is, should we legislate it? that every staff must follow our social media, or should we encourage using moral suasion? Because again, at the end of the day, it's their private life. You cannot force them. You cannot put it in their JD. But the business can gradually encourage its workforce to like and follow their social media pages. Because again, if you don't follow it, there is no way you can see the posting that are being posted. So if you follow it first, the first thing is get everybody to even first follow. That is a win. So if you have a 500 people workforce and 500 people are following all your handles across all the social media channels, that is a win, 500 followers. Now, if these 500 followers, out of them, you have 60% of them that like, retweet, reshare your post, what happens is that you have amplified the reach of your social media channels, because all the people that all these 500 people are connected to, which in many times are even more than what the social media platforms of the company is connected to, are able to see all those posts and see all those reach. For me, that is a methodology that has really worked. And that is what I will also encourage to help increase engagement.
Well, thank you very much. I think we have room for one final question before we call it a day. So please, can you elaborate on tools that can be deployed in back office? You know, in one of your slides, you talk about back office management, digital marketing, automation, and the rest of that. You touched on it a bit, but please, can you elaborate a bit more?
Yes, I remember that I talk around back office. So when you talk about back office, you are talking about what do we need to do so well in serving and satisfying the customer that gives us advantage above our competition, right? So for those of us that are students of corporate strategy, so they will always tell you that every organization's corporate strategy sits on three key levers. One of them is distinctive competence. The second of it is what is called scope. And the third of it is resource deployment. Scope is which range of markets do we want to play? Like VDT, for example, they are providing broadband service to businesses, right? I watched a video where the business leaders were saying they started with providing for businesses. I don't know whether it's been moved to the last mile to the consumers as of today, that as end users. That's a scope, a range of market in which we want to play. Because resources are limited in supply, being able to determine where you want to deploy the available resources that will give you the highest possible return on investment. If I have 100 naira, I have two different projects or products to put it. Which one will I put the 100 naira that will give me the quickest, fastest, highest return on investment? But the one that speaks to this question is the distinctive competence. What must we be able to do in a far superior mode than any company else that gives us an advantage in the marketplace? That is your point of differentiation and value creation. And so when you begin to talk about your back office tools, you are saying, how effectively can we deliver our customer relationship management? Can we deliver our financing processes, payment of our vendor obligations? How do we manage our human resources function to ensure our people are optimally managed? How do we ensure customer support? How do we ensure finance operations, and so on and so forth? These are your back office operations. Once you have identified what you are doing, the first thing is, how are we doing it as of today? Okay, this is how we are doing it. If we identify how we are doing preparing payroll today, we use Excel. Okay, where do we want to be? Where do we want to go? If you want to travel from Nigeria to the US, you cannot engage a bus driver to take you there. You can't get there. You need a pilot. you need an aeroplane. Where you want to go is what determines the tools that you need. Just like you cannot drive a car from Nigeria to the UK, but need a ship or an aeroplane. Where you want to go will determine the tools that will take you from where you are at the moment to where you want to go. So like the Microsoft Excel that I shared for processing payroll, for example, maybe you notice there are some few errors here and there that is human because you are using formulas on an Excel sheet and say, okay, what tools are available in the market? And there are tools today that you can even download on Google Play Store as software as a service. Some of them even give you opportunity to test for 6 months before paying at all. That helps to improve the speed at which it's done, how you can remove people. Sometimes somebody has left the company, you still pay them salary for 2 months because you didn't remember to go and remove them on a line, and so on and so forth. If it is your CRM, maybe you want to use Zoho, for example, it helps you to be able to know your leads, your actual leads, from the general one coming at the top of the funnel, the ones that have been contacted the first time, the ones that have responded, the ones that have been contacted but have not responded, the ones that you have booked the first meeting with, the ones that have told you to send a proposal to them, the ones that have responded to your proposal, the ones that are already in the contract signing stage, the ones that you are already implementing your sales for. Your CRM helps you to track your sales funnel. And by listening to that simple data, you are able to know that if I want to sell 50 VDT products, I need 1,000 customers in my funnel. And so as a manager, you are breaking prospects into 1,000 for your people. You are not just driving data and giving targets to your people from your end. You are using the data that these tools are able to sift out and put on your desk to drive business outcomes. That is what we are saying. Same thing for financing. Sometimes some finance department would have paid the same bill twice because they do not have a simple tool that is able to track payments, when they are due, when they should be paid, being able to guide your cash flow planning. Sometimes it's not that the business does not have money, but because they are not using tools that helps them to know vendor payments that will be due about at what date, so that there can be effective cash flow planning, everything is scattered. And then the vendor gets impression that the company is undergoing liquidity problems, which is really not the problem. So there are so many tools that you can share. So if VDT permits, I can share the slide, and then they can share with anyone that is interested. I put a lot of tools there, Bitrix 24, Kayako, File, Tally, so many tools that I've mentioned in the course of this class. And if you want to go offline, you have SAP One, you have Info FMS, you have Oracle, and so on and so forth that you can use as ERP.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Timmy. We can't appreciate you enough. It's been a loaded, extremely loaded session. I'm sure listening would have to go through the slides again, to get some of the learning points that we can begin to implement in our businesses immediately. Okay, so I don't know if we have further reactions, comments, feedback from our participants. If you do, please feel free to unmute and let us hear you. If you have any feedback, comments, I'm sure that we have touched on all the questions that have been asked. So we can take comments, feedback from 1 or 2 people before we call it a day. So we'll give about 2 minutes for that. Let's know if you have something to say so that we can get along. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, someone is saying they can. Okay, so I think we would have to unmute. Okay, can you raise your hand, please? Hamdi, you have something to say? Okay. Mr. Timmy, can you unmute Hamdi? I think Hamdi has hand raised. Thank you.
All right, let me check. All right, David, I say I've unmuted you. That's the
Yes, thank you
answer.
so much.
Great. Yeah.
Yes, I just want
Okay.
to tell you the challenge that we have in digital marketing, especially for the enterprise. Um, it's very difficult for us to have confessions. You know, after deploying campaign, we have the leads. Yes, we made the target for the leads, but for those leads to be converted to sales, sometimes maybe one or two, even though they are big, like the last one we had, it was 10 meg that was converted, but it does not come as many as we expect. So I just want to know if you have any advice so that we can add to what we are doing on this. What should we do to improve conversion in terms of for enterprise cost prospects?
Okay. Thank you very much, David. My question to that will be pointed. I would have loved to ask additional questions because there are two possible scenarios from your digital marketing campaigns. There are two possible outcomes. One, you are not even getting leads from the digital marketing campaigns. That is one possibility. The other possibility is that you are getting leads, but the conversion rate is so small.
Yes.
So which of the problems are you trying to address?
We are getting leads, and we meet leads targets, but the
Okay,
conversion rate is too small
okay, the conversion rate.
for
So, okay,
enterprise and SME
okay, so that
services
means your leads
especially.
to conversion is the problem.
Yes.
Now your digital marketing campaigns, are they funneled into a CRM? Do you have a CRM tool that you currently use to funnel all the interactions? Whether they are comments there, whether they are requests, whether it's a click, do you have a CRM that you use to funnel all the channels,
Yes, we
whether
do
from the
have that.
website or from the social media feed or inbound?
Exactly. Yeah.
You have, right?
Yes.
So rather than focus too much on the digital marketing as a problem, what I will advise, if it's a conversion problem, focus on your funnel optimization. Focus on your funnel optimization. Now, for every line of drop in your funnel, pay attention to getting the voice of the customer. Why did they drop off? Some of the time, you are too focused on the CVR. It's small, it's small, it's small, that you are not listening to the customer. And unless businesses are able to listen to the customers, the CVR will continue to be low. So the fact that they came and they clicked means that you interested them. If you are able to move them to a conversation where you sent a proposal to them and the whole thing just went cold, there must be a reason it went cold. So now focus the energy on that leads optimization to get your people to ask questions on why people are dropping off at every point before sale. If you are able to get enough insight, and some of the time you don't pay money to get it, it's just you pay attention by calling the customer, sometimes paying a visit. If you can visit them, if they are significant enough. If you get that feedback and you fix the feedback, which is the reason for the drop-off, automatically your CVR will go up. But most times, most organizations are treating symptoms and not addressing root cause analysis. And there are two different ways you can address the root cause. You can either use the 5 whys. Why did they drop off? If they give you the reason, why again, 5 times, you will likely get to the root. Or you use the fishbone analysis to actually treat that root cause. If you deal with the root cause, your CVR will certainly go up. So rather than trying to increase your performance marketing, increase spending on it, deal with it. Because if you have brought 1,000 and you are only able to sell 2, it does not guarantee that if you bring 5,000, you'll be able to sell more than 10. So what matters is optimize your leads management funnel, and then your CVR will improve from digital marketing. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, really, you have answered because we've been focusing on trying to improve quality of leads only without considering the process of conversion, which you have really nailed on. So that process of when we bring them in, because they actually request for service, that means they're interested. So, but that process of taking them from that request they made to become our customer is where we also need to pay more attention to henceforth. So, thank you so much for that.
All right. And one other good way is to use customers that you're already retaining to also drive conversion for those who are coming. So if you have not instituted a process for monitoring your NPS, you may now start to do that every month to compute your net promoter score to be able to understand the voice of the customer, even the ones we are already serving in terms of business revenue preservation. What do they have to say about our service? Because they are the ones that are likely to recommend new other people to go and check our site, to go and check our products. So if we are not listening to their complaints and fixing it, after some time, we may also lose them. At least if you are not bringing in new people, you should be able to keep the ones that you have. So focusing on NPS may also be a good way to actually improve your outcomes.
All right, thank you very much for that, Mr. Timmy. Okay, can we unmute Hamdallah immediately? I think she has a comment. Hamdallah, yes, the name is Hamdallah. Okay, Hamdi, please go ahead if you've been unmuted.
Yeah, talking permitted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Hamdallah, please go ahead with your question, comment, feedback. You've been unmuted. Okay. Okay, while we're waiting, I think I see a raised hand. Do you have a reaction, please?
So Bridget.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. It's quite educating. I want to know more about the NPS, the Net Promoter Score.
Okay. The Net Promoter Score is just a tool that is used to understand the customer perception of your business. The reality is that the customer is the reason for your business. If there is no customer, there is no sales. If there is no sales, there is no revenue. If there is no revenue, there is no profit. If there is no profit, there is no shareholder value. So at the end of the day, everything starts with the customer. If you have a customer today and you are able to drive a revenue of 100 naira, if those customers are 10 and 4 of them decide not to deal with you again, you may not be able to make the 100 naira. You may only make 60 naira, assuming each of them are contributing 10 naira. So what we are saying is that most customers will not complain. They will not talk. If you are not even meeting their expectations, they just simply go elsewhere to find solutions to their problems. And organizational products and services are solutions to societal needs. You have a company because you are providing a solution that meets the needs of a customer. So if they are able to find another person who can meet that need better than you are doing, they will silently move away without even telling you the reason that they left. So the NPS computation helps you, before they silently move away, obtain feedback on how to improve the customer experience with them. So you have some customers that you call promoters. These are guys that will score between the range of 8, 9 over 10. That is, they are logged in into your business. They are happy to talk to other people about your business and products because they enjoy it. There are people that are detractors. They are from range 1 to 4. They hate the experience with your business. They don't like it. These are the guys you need to work hard on to actually convert them to become promoters. There are some people that are in between 5 to 6, nominal, that are neither here nor there. It's just one of those services. So they are between maybe your 5 to 7. So you are sending questions to them, asking them some kind of questions about their experience with the business, and then using the rating scale 1 to 10 to determine where they are. So you can now calculate what you call your CSAT, which is your customer satisfaction index. And you also calculate your DSAT, which is customer dissatisfaction index. If your detractors are more than your promoters, your DSAT will be very high. If your promoters are far more than your detractors, then your CSAT will be very high. Once you identify your baseline data, you can now set target for your customer experience team to say, this is the percentage CSAT that we expect, and this is the percentage DSAT that we expect. As expected, DSAT percentage has to be small, preferably a single digit, and a CSAT percentage has to be high, preferably going towards 100%. So by listening, you are not just calculating the percentages, you are listening to the reason why they have that experience. You are able to know what is working that you need to strengthen. You are able to know what is not working that you need to fix. You are able to know what you are not doing at all that you need to start. And then you can begin to drive business outcome through start, continue, stop. Start, continue, stop. Reiteration. That is how to improve business outcomes. At the end of the day, the purpose of all this is to ensure that the performance of this month is better than the performance of last month. But if you don't know what to improve, it will just end in December the way you started in January. So Bridget, I don't know whether I spoke to your question.
Bridget, are you there? Okay, yes, she's dropped it in the chat. She says her concern has been addressed. Thank you very much. Okay, so Hamdallah says she was going to share feedback with you that the session has been very insightful. So thank you. This is appreciating the quality of engagement you have had with us today. So in the absence of further questions, comments, or reactions, this is to appreciate everyone very deeply for joining us this morning. It's been an exciting over 90 minutes. In fact, there was a lot more engagement from the Q&A sessions. So please don't forget to follow our social media pages. We have a support desk. It's open 24 hours. And if you have comments, questions, please feel free also to reach out at any time. So I don't know, Mr. Timmy, do you have last words for us before we call it a day?
No, not really, but I'm happy to share the slides with you, maybe for those who may be interested in getting the slides. So thank you everyone for having me today. I do hope that you and your businesses do better and you're able to actually improve the outcomes that you are getting as of today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timmy, CTO. We appreciate this. Thank you so much. So insightful. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, everyone. Mr. Timmy, everybody is saying thank you in the chat. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We appreciate you. And in fact, someone says very, very interested. So there are lots of